Welcome everyone to the Game Ball Podcast. I'm your host Tom Schuster. Joining me tonight is Mark Myers. Tonight we'll be discussing some great franchises that continue to deliver, and we'll be reviewing our Retro Roulette game, The Misadventures of Tron Bonne for the Sony Playstation. But before we get to that, Mark, what have you been playing?
Well, first, let's take a time to pay respect to Jen, who ate one spicy noodle too much and is no longer with us. Jen, we know you're out there. All right. So, games I played. So, let's see. I played the PS5 patch for Last of Us Part 2 came out.
Yes.
So, I played the opening sequence up until you jump ahead the 4 years, like that opening thing with Joel.
Right.
You're riding on the horse, and that, God, it looks amazing. It might be the best looking PS5 game right now, which is saying something.
Well, yeah, I know how much you like the way that game looked before the patch, so I can only imagine after.
The lighting and the HDR is ridiculous, and, I haven't even gotten to some of the parts of that game that I want to see. I was debating on just trying to, I think they take off the achievements if you use, like, the infinite ammo, because I was like, what if I played Grounded, but I had infinite ammo? Grounded's the highest level. It's
right.
Like, they give you the least amount of supplies and you have the lowest amount of health and all that stuff.
Right.
But I think they turn off achievements, so it wouldn't be worth it. So I just put it on light, which is a couple down from what I beat it on. And I'm going to turn on infinite ammo, infinite melee weapons, infinite crafting, and just sort of look at the game.
Yeah, I mean, at this point,
through it.
I'm kind of going to do something similar when Intergrade comes out.
Yeah.
I'm going to want to play the whole game through just to see it, so I'm sure I'll be doing something similar.
Yeah, just play it on easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, so it looks beautiful. I can't wait to see the combat in 60 frames. If they can keep the fidelity up with, 60 frames per second, that game will make me regret. I don't know if I had it at number 2, but if I didn't, then it's going to make me regret not having it at number 2. Because nothing's going to beat Hades. Any other year, Last of Us 2 would have been Game of the Year.
Yeah.
But Hades was so far and away a great, just overall game. And the story was fantastic without, at times trying too hard, which is what the Last of Us 2's problem was. But we don't need to rehash that. I talked mostly about that last year. But the way this game looks and the story and the music, this upgrade is going to make me regret that. The other thing, I downloaded because I was sitting all week going, but I haven't played yet. I was sitting there thinking, the Mass Effect Legacy Collection is out. I haven't played any of them since I beat 3. Maybe it's worth the purchase. I paid, my taxes are paid, got the new lease on the car. I have a little more disposable income right now. And then I went, wait a second. That's an EA game. I have Origin Pro. I should have it free on my PC.
Yes, you should.
And I went and checked it, and I do have it free on my PC. So I started downloading it today. So I will have a report on that next podcast.
Nice.
Just regular sports games. I update on my show. I went back to playing at the regular Phillies ballpark instead of Polo Grounds. Just because I got annoyed with hitting 455-foot flyouts to center field.
Yeah, that would annoy the absolute hell out of me.
Get perfect swings and it's a flyout. The only thing that I lose is that I don't hit as many triples. But
yeah, triples are hard to come by otherwise.
But the home runs are up and all that because I'm in a smaller ballpark and most everything but the corners. And that would be true of any ballpark. That's not a joke on Citizens Bank Park.
No, yeah.
Like any ballpark ever made, for once you get to the gap, would be smaller than the Polo Grounds. So I had my fun with that. But that game looks amazing, and I'll keep playing it. I kept my batting at rookie instead of dynamic, so I get frustrated every so often. But then there'll be games I get 15 runs. And,
yeah, I'm gonna go into that when I go to mine.
So the only thing I get annoyed with is when pitchers come in and the X button is not their fastball.
Yeah, it's really weird when their like number one pitch is not a fastball. It's like, why?
I literally got so frustrated playing the Cardinals because Adam Wainwright is such a junk ball pitcher in that game apparently that I just trade it for him and just stuff him in my AAA team. I was like, I can't take this. I will trade. It just bothered the shit out of me in 2 games. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Yeah. And yeah, so getting used to that, but getting a little more confident at not swinging when I don't guess the pitch and location right. So that's leading to more runs. But played through some NBA 2K. I found one great bug in NBA 2K21 that I didn't know of. So I jokingly, when I do, as you'd notice me talking about when I play franchise modes and all other sports, I don't take them seriously. Like, need them to be realistic in simulations or anything. So whenever I do the NBA, I add, 2 expansions to the league.
As you do.
Just for fun. You can add up to 6, but that's just ridiculous. But I had 2, one in the West, one in the East, and so I put them in there. And I don't know if it's a bug with the PS5 version or if it's always been a bug and I just never noticed it. I think it's just the PS5. I'll have to research it. But when you play in their home arenas, however they design it, it freaks out like the coaches and players on the bench. Like they don't know how to sit, and every time you call a timeout, both teams just mix together on the court. And sometimes it takes so long to have them start an inbound pass because they're waiting for some trigger in the animation from the bench.
It sounds like WWE 2K.
Yeah, it was just so annoying. That I'm like, I'm just going to simulate games against these teams on the road.
Yeah, that's a terrible bug.
Yeah, it was real bad. The one I understood, because however they set up the stadium, like the pre-generated stadium, however they set that up, the seats were somehow like in the fans, like fans were on the bench seats. So I could see how the game could freak out with that.
Yeah, I would say that would cause it to freak out.
The one other expansion team, it was empty. Like they could sit down, but they just had the same bug.
That's really weird.
Yeah. So I'm gonna look it up on Reddit and all tonight. I just found that yesterday, so it was intriguing to me. But that game, I know they're giving it out for free on Epic now, but if you have a PS5, get it for PS5 because the PC versions are not the next gen versions, and just the slight animation changes makes the game so much better and more realistic. In the sense that, it looks more like a basketball play, like when they get fouled or stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like you overuse it a little bit, but they have the animation that if you're running for a layup and a guy comes over and hits you, they'll do the layup and then like sprawl onto their back or whatever. Instead of
like in a real NBA?
Yeah, it's kind of like you would in real life if you got hit in that situation. In previous games, they would just like go through a stocked animation, and down. But it looks like they fall where they should fall, like mentally when you're looking at it. Like you're like, all right, that's where they should fall if they got hit going in that direction. So whatever they changed in the animation, building this from the ground up, has just been real good. I'm hoping EA's taking notes, and so I'm interested to see what Madden and all looks like. I have the EA Pass on the computer, so I can just play them there. But if there's any meaningful upgrades for FIFA and Madden for PS5 only, I might have to bite the bullet just to see it. But yeah. So great thing with PS5 is now I got a game to play until June 10th. So with Last of Us Part 2.
And you don't have to feel like obliged to beat it because you've already beaten it.
Yeah. So I deleted Modern Warfare off my PS5.
Good for you, Mark. Good
Sad
for
day.
you.
I haven't played it in 2 weeks, and I was just like, you know what? I got to put in Final Fantasy VII soon. So, might as well do it now. And then I deleted Final Fantasy 14 because I'm not paying for the subscription because I played it maybe 5 times in a month. And that is not worth, I don't have any friends that play it. So that's not worth $13 a month or whatever it is.
Right.
For it. If it was like us, how we play, Apex and stuff like that,
Right, that's different. Yeah.
I would pay it, but it's not worth it. I'm trying to think what else have I played. I did play one other thing. Forgetting. It was on the PS5. It was something else I got. But I will have more on this next week. But I had purchased a game for the Switch. That you guys would have already played it by the time this comes out. That I'm going to bring to our first gathering. Since we're all vaccinated tomorrow for us to play.
I'm interested.
Yeah.
Do I need to bring my Switch?
So. No, it's. I'll just say it's a Jackbox equivalent, so you won't need your Switch.
Okay.
So I think it's on other systems, but I think it's just easier for where we're going to just move their Switch up if we're going to play in the living room or something than any other system. So yeah,
I'm excited.
Yeah, that's about it. I am just waiting. I took June 10th and 11th off for Intergrade. So looking forward to that. And let's see, what's today? No, we'll podcast right before it comes out.
Oh, of course.
I think, yeah.
That's all right. It'll give us 2 weeks to play it.
Today's the
21st.
21st, 28th is Stranger Damies. Yeah, then the 4th is this, and then, yeah, the 11th is Stranger Damies again.
That's all right. It'll give us a couple of weeks to
get our thoughts.
Get into it, yeah.
Yeah. All right, yep. So that's about all I've been playing.
All right.
I'm excited to see what these free games on Epic is, and maybe I'll have more games to talk about next week.
I hope it's something good. Obviously, we said NBA 2K21 was this week, so
yeah. Today. It's every day.
It's a daily thing. Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason I thought it was a weekly thing, but that's today. If you're listening to this on when this comes out, you've already missed it.
Yeah.
So
there's
aware.
Games.
Be aware for the this week. Go to Epic Games store and see what's free. All right. So my gaming. I'm gonna rant a little on the show.
Okay.
As I did last week. Or 2 weeks ago, it's one of those games that if you're doing well, it's a lot of fun. But if you're not doing well, it's the worst fucking game ever, and you just want to throw it out the window. Like Mark said, you can have a stretch where you just don't hit the ball for like 4 games. It's maddening how difficult it can be sometimes. But sometimes, like today I was playing. I hit 2 home runs in a game. I went, 3 for 4, hit 2 home runs in a game. Next game, hit another home run. And then like 3 games after that, I couldn't make contact. It's just really weird. And I don't have the changing difficulty on. It's the same difficulty all the time. It's just like the game feels like not letting you do something this week or this game. Like I've had so many perfect swings that were just either pop-ups or ground balls into double plays. I'm just like, why bother with the perfect thing if it's not going to do anything? Just stop. Just don't tell me. Don't tell me it was perfect. I don't want to know.
Yeah, it's just, and sometimes I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I get like the ball perfectly in the middle. I get a good or great on the scale, and it's like a line drive at someone. And
yeah, it's like it's like real baseball. It's like you can hit the ball perfect, and you just hit it right at somebody. Like, I'm playing this because I'm not playing physical baseball. Give me a break. But yeah. Other than that, it's been more Miles Morales, which, looking at the map of that game, it's like anxiety inducing because there's just so much they throw on the map. I'm like, all right, guys, just let me do a couple things first before you throw 50 other things on the map that I have to do. Like, just give me like, let me do a couple missions. And then throw a couple things on there. Don't just throw it all on there at once. That's what Assassin's Creed does that too, and I hate that. Like, I'll look at that map and I'm just like, I don't want to play this. There's too much going on. Because I'm one of those people that has to do everything. So the second you throw all that stuff on the map, I'm out. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna not play this for a little while, just so I can get my bearings before I come back. I have to be mentally prepared to see that map when I come back and play the game. Especially Assassin's Creed's the worst one because it literally is just they throw it all on there immediately, and you don't even know what half of it is. They just throw it on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm happy to say I have made some progress in Chain of Memories.
Nice.
I was stuck on the same freaking fight for like 2 weeks.
Okay.
It's a fight that should not have been as difficult as it was.
Yep.
It was a fight with in Wonderland, you fight the Queen's cards. And for whatever, it's kind of like a rush. Like you beat a set of cards and then more come and attack you, and you beat that set and more come and attack you. But for whatever reason, I just was not able to get past like the last set of cards. I was like I was just getting ganged up on too much, and I didn't have the right cards in my deck, and I was just getting really frustrated by it. And then Jonathan, thank God, sent me like links to deck building in.
It would seem like it would be important
because they don't explain how to build a deck. Like they're just like, oh yeah, just throw cards in there and that's your attacks. They don't explain what's good and what's bad, and it's just a crapshoot if you're like a beginner.
Yeah,
because this game. Go ahead.
I was going to say it is the opposite of Paper Mario in a game like that is kind of like a baby game for babies, like they're both supposed to be. Paper Mario, you're never lost. Like it'll never leave you stuck. Like you will always know a way out, or be able to go back and heal up without any enemies showing up. Like it never leaves you hanging because it's supposed to be for kids.
Right.
It sounds like Kingdom Hearts, while also supposed to be for children, does not do that.
No, not even kind of close. Also, this game came out for the GBA, I think, originally.
Yeah, it sounds right.
So it's still in that time period where like they didn't tell you everything when you're playing a game. So, but you could at least give me a hint. Like, just tell me, like, oh yeah, this is a good card. You should use this. Like, I didn't know. I didn't have a clue what I was doing, and I had to literally go on GameFAQs, which, if you know what that is, you're as old as us, and welcome. If you don't know what GameFAQs is, that's where we went before YouTube existed to get hints and strategies and walkthroughs and things like that when the internet was still young. And a lot of times there was some really shitty advice, but now it's kind of been curated enough that only the good stuff exists there now. So I had to go to GameFAQs and try to find YouTube videos from 10 years ago because nobody plays this game now. It's not new. They've re-released it 6 times, but nobody plays it.
It wasn't part of the collection?
It is part of the collection, but like nobody's clamoring to play Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories from 2004. It's a game that a lot of people skipped over, and I can understand why, because it's just like some of this stuff is just really, really dumb, but it's introducing characters that are like pretty important later in Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts 3. So I kind of want to see where they come from and stuff. So it's hard to tell myself I'm okay with skipping it because I've already said on here that I'm going to play through all these games, so I have to do it. That's kind of why I said it on here. So I have to push myself through it. Luckily, I think after this I get Kingdom Hearts 2, but it's still or Birth by Sleep. It's one or the other. Yeah. But those 2 games are way better than this game. And I'll be happy when I'm done with this.
Okay, you still got 7067 over 92 to play.
I don't think that's in the collection. Okay. I think they only give cutscene. Granted, I could probably figure out a way to play it, but I really don't want to. I really don't.
Yeah, I'm just kind of glad that Nier took over the title of weirdest video game.
Oh my
God. Subhead of all time.
It's like 37 characters, and I'm not just saying that. It's like 37 characters.
Yeah.
It's it's a thing.
I'm glad to hear that you have figured out how to play the card game.
It's just so dumb because it's not a card game. It's not a card game and it's not an action game. It's like pick one. It's like they thought that this would be a great idea and it just does not work. But I do like the game. Like it's a Kingdom Hearts game. I'm not going to not like it, but the just some of the stuff I wish they would explain better.
True.
But you can't have it all. But there's a reason this game is not as well regarded as the others. So I'm gonna try to just power through it as quickly as I can, and then hopefully I'll get to a good one next. Oh man! All right. So as you've noticed, Jen is not here this week. Rest in peace.
Yes.
So I will be bringing the news. There's a few interesting stories, interesting retro stories this week. It's been revealed that Time Splitters will be returning. The dev team behind GoldenEye and Perfect Dark and Time Splitters on the PS2 are coming back, and they're going to be making they say they're going to make a sequel to Time Splitters, but we'll see about that. But they will be coming out with a new game, and I thought that was really cool that Free Radical was coming back because they've been gone, I think, since probably they got bought in like 2006 or something like that.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
So it's been a long time since we've seen a first-person shooter from them. And if you like those types of games, like if you like GoldenEye and you've never played Time Splitters, you should 100% play Time Splitters because it's kind of like what
it's like this what they say the spiritual successor in terms of.
It's kind of the modern version of GoldenEye would like that. It's that same play style. It's got the same UI basically, minus all of the James Bond stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like it's going to be pretty interesting. I'm always up for, a good first person shooter that's not Call of Duty because I'm just so sick of Call of Duty at this point.
Yeah, the whole thing with this is just, it was one of those unfortunate things when they first went away because the way Time Splitters as much as it totally ripped off GoldenEye, it was basically the end of that kind of first person shooter.
Yeah, that was around when they ended was around the same time that Call of Duty's first game came out ish. So it you were kind of getting that transition to the modern first person shooter. Like Halo was also out at this time. So that's kind of the direction things were going. People wanted to play games more like Halo, even though Halo is obviously inspired by GoldenEye and these types of games also.
Yeah, so it's good to hear that they might be giving us more options on the first-person shooter front.
Yeah, and if you haven't played a Time Splitters game, I highly recommend you give one a shot. But granted, it's hard to get a hold of copies of these games now, but I'm pretty sure if you get a Time Splitters game for the original Xbox or 360, it should play on a new, like an Xbox Series X. But that's probably the easiest way to play it, other than, those non-legal ways we won't talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, really excited. I can't wait to see what Free Radical's got for us. Mark, did you own any Time Splitters games in the past, or
No, the only time I first saw it was on I think it was like a Game Informer replay. They played it. Just says I think it was when the GoldenEye remaster or whatever that was came out.
Right.
That was their replay to sort of like, also this game came out.
Right.
That was similar to it. And that's all I've really seen of it. And then just hearing the anecdotes about it over the years.
Let me just say that you would love Time Splitters. It's so goofy and stupid. The storyline, you would love it.
Interesting. Yeah. So I'll head out, look for it, even if I have to do it in illegal ways.
All right. And something not illegal. Yeah. Big news for Mega Man fans for the Genesis. So I'm going to lead off here. The Gaming Historian did a really great video on Mega Man The Wily Wars for the Sega Genesis, which was never released on the Genesis in the US. It was a Mega
Drive game.
Right.
Or Mega Drive, right?
Yes, Mega Drive. So people have been trying. It was also a downloadable game. It was a Mega Modem game, I'm pretty sure. in the U.S., but there was never a cartridge released of it.
Yeah.
But
so was it
Retro,
on the Sega channel?
Right, it was a Sega channel game. So Retrobit has been doing a lot of these re-releases for our older games and putting them back on cartridge. So Retrobit is re-releasing Mega Man: The Wily Wars for the Genesis on cartridge with the original box and everything. It's really incredible. So basically think of like Super Mario All-Stars, but for Mega Man games for the Genesis. Because I'm pretty sure there was 3 Genesis Mega Man games.
So like what the games no one wants to remember?
They're just the games that no one's able to remember. So
yeah.
But
oh yeah, it's like it feels like I know these games actually got released. But it feels like when you hear about that there was an NES version of SimCity.
Right.
And you're kind of like, interesting, but do we really need to see it?
Listen, a lot of people really want this because it's never come out before.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah,
it's so pre-orders are live for this, by the way. It's $70, but it comes with the clamshell. It comes with a full color manual for all the games. It looks like it comes with trading cards, stickers, all kinds of stuff, as well as a real cartridge, which is a high quality cartridge because the guy from DB Electronics, which he kind of started a little fuss back in the day about cartridges being crappy design and killing consoles and stuff. But if he's behind it, Renee from DB Electronics, I will be sure to say that it is going to be a good product because he would not let something crappy come out. So you don't have to worry about it hurting your Genesis. But if you have a Genesis and you are a Mega Man fan and you always wanted this, head over to Retrobit's site and you can pick it up. Actually, I'm sorry. It's also available at limited run games and strictly limited games. So go check that out. There is an article on RetroRGB.com also if you want to read more about it. And go check out the Gaming Historian video on these games. It's really, really interesting.
Yeah,
Norm, go ahead.
I was gonna say I would imagine. I'm just been sitting here thinking about the $70 price tag, and I think that's very much because people know collectors will be out there just for the clamshell case.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That $70 is just for that in my head. Like if you just had the cartridge or some other like digital way of selling it, I don't think anybody would buy it for more than $30.
Yeah. It's a collector's edition, so that's why it's so much. I imagine at some point they'll put out like a normal edition, but as of right now, Castlevania games, limited run games, and strictly limited games all have it up for pre-order.
Yeah.
But the pre-order is live for like a month, so if you don't get it immediately and you really want it, don't worry, it'll be around. But yeah, really cool. Like I said, Norm never disappoints with his videos, so go ahead and check out that video that he did on the Wily Wars. And something that is going to upset Mark a little bit here.
I'm ready.
So Nintendo is releasing a brand new amiibo for the new Skyward Sword remaster.
It's the damn bird, isn't it?
It's the bird, yes. So they're releasing it. It's Zelda and the bird on the amiibo. So it has a functionality built. It's the Loftwing, I believe it's called, right?
I'm surprised. I guess there's a billion Link amiibos, so maybe that's why they went with Zelda.
Probably. I mean, there are a million Link amiibos. I can't even name them all off the top of my head. But yeah. So it's Zelda with the Loftwing, and it has a very specific functionality built into it just for Skyward Sword. So it allows, if you touch the amiibo to your Switch, it allows you to quick travel between Surface World and the sky. Now, I imagine I didn't play Skyward Sword, so I imagine this was not a thing that happened in the game. There was no fast travel, I'm imagining. But this is basically something that would allow you to fast travel in the game, but you have to pay $25 for the amiibo to be able to do that, because you can't do it without it.
It's terrible.
It's
Terrible.
it's such a Nintendo thing.
Yeah, they're. It's just I was going to say, are they afraid the game's not going to sell? Because that makes no sense. Because they would have not tied an amiibo to it. Because then you're just putting yourself double out, in terms of that stuff. But it's just the fact that they're tying a game mechanic that would be so helpful and vital to players to an amiibo, so you have to spend extra money. Because this HD collection, $60, right?
Oh, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's full price game.
Yeah, it's just so strange. I don't know. I'm waiting for the E3 event where I get to hear that Wind Waker or Twilight Princess or A Link Between Worlds or whatever is coming later in the year for the anniversary. Because everything, you dropping this news, everything I hear about Skyward Sword just makes me
cringe a little bit.
Reinforce my opinion to not purchase that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just weird because, in Wind Waker, when they re-released it for the Wii U, they fixed the fast traveling. So I'm really confused as to why they would not do the same for this game. Like, why would you make that choice for Wind Waker, but not this game? Like, why keep that behind a paywall? It's just a really weird thing to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I understand that they want to try to give the people who purchase this thing a little something extra, but at the same time, make it something that's not like could possibly really help you during the game. Like, fast travel could make the game way shorter.
Yeah, but maybe they think it's a perfect game. I don't know.
It's clearly not. It's very clearly not. I don't know anybody who says Skyward Sword is their favorite Zelda.
Well, Dan would, just to make us mad. But it's just, I know why they're doing it. There's probably a sect of fans who Skyward Sword was their first Zelda, so that's why it's their favorite. That's why I still have really strong opinions about how terrible that game is. But I will never criticize a person for liking that game. Because it's still a Zelda game, so it's not like terribly made. It's not like coming out and saying like one of the whatever you would consider one of the worst games of all time. Like, in a non-ironic way, someone says I love that ET game.
Right.
Then I would question. But it's just I guess they're doing this because it's the one they haven't done yet. But I don't know. I'm all for, and I've said it multiple times on this podcast, I'm all for them porting everything they had on Wii U to the Switch, like everything, because nobody bought that system.
Well, at this point, like I've said in the past, it's like 95% of the games have been moved. The only ones that haven't been moved are the ones that Mark wants.
Yeah, yeah, and a bunch of the Marios as well. But
well, most of them have.
The 2D ones haven't come over. Like
they have. New Super Mario Brothers Wii U. That was one of the first things that came over. Did
the Luigi one come over?
Yeah, it was all in it. It was like a deluxe package.
I missed that part.
Yeah,
I take that back. I missed. I thought they left Luigi U or whatever they called it.
Well, Luigi U just became a DLC for the regular Mario Brothers U.
Remember the year of Luigi?
Yes. How could we forget? How can we forget the year of Luigi? But yeah, so literally at this point, it's just, and I think this is on purpose. We'll find out. But it's literally just Wind Waker and Twilight Princess at this point that have not been ported.
Yeah, of the first party games, yeah.
Right, of the games that people care about. Yeah. Like Tropical Freeze made it already. Like, why not these two games? I'm praying that they're just waiting for E3 to be like, oh yeah, 35th anniversary of Legend of Zelda. You get these two games plus the original Legend of Zelda in a package.
Yeah, and you know what would be the ultimate E3 drop of information? I know we spoke about this before, but if they say they're doing some kind of like Link's Awakening remake of Ocarina.
I don't know that they'd be able to do that. That's because it's a 3D game instead of being like a 2D top-down game. I feel like if they did it for A Link Between Worlds, maybe.
Yeah, Maybe.
I feel like that's more doable, like easier, quicker.
But the difference is Ocarina has the name.
Well, yeah. I mean, Ocarina is Ocarina, but at best, I think you're going to get what they did to Super Mario 64 for Ocarina and Majora's Mask.
Yeah. But yeah, it just I know we talk about Zelda all the time in this podcast, and it's like Final Fantasy. It's my favorite game series. The other one's yours. I think we talk about Skyrim a lot for Jen, but yeah, it's just my main thing. Like, if they bring Wind Waker and Twilight Princess to Switch, I'll be happy. Even if it's just a port, nothing special, upgraded, no added amiibo or anything. Just do like a Super Mario 3D All-Stars, where they put them on the same cartridge. I don't know if they could do that because they're big games, but just something like that. Like, it doesn't even need to be like the Skyward Sword update for it.
I think it'll come eventually.
Yeah.
I hope it's this year for 35th anniversary, but
I hope there's some big drop of something. Whether it's a game I love, like if it's some surprise Link to the Past remake, or something, or if it's even, like I said, they do anything with Ocarina and Majora that are. I think for the 30th anniversary they have to drop something big because they did it for Mario. So.
Yeah, it would kind of be weird for them to do it for Mario and not Zelda. Granted, Mario is what they based their whole company on, but Zelda's number 2, I would imagine. So you would think something's coming, hopefully, and hopefully they don't do something stupid like this when they make that announcement.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But talking about Zelda gets us onto our main topic, which now that the new Resident Evil's out, it got us thinking, hey, there's a lot of really good franchises that continue to make good games, and there's missteps here and there, but there's still a bunch of big franchises that continue to deliver good games and games that are loved all over the place, and we should talk about a few of them. Now, Mark, I don't know if you had anything in mind. I don't know if you want to go right into Resident Evil or...
Yeah, I think let's start there because that was the impetus for this. Is I finished watching a playthrough of Resident Evil Village, the 8th installment of the main series, and it got me thinking because at the end of that they sort of the last 2 games kind of looked like they were a little bit standalone-ish, but they do a lot of wrapping up to avoid spoilers, of making it all connect in a very Fast and Furious way. But it got me thinking, like, what are those series that are like one continuous thread for a long period of time? I'm not talking about Mario, where they've had a bunch of different games over 36 years, but none of them really connect it for the most part. Zelda's a stretch, but that could technically count, just as I stare at my Hyrule Historia, where they have a timeline where games are connected.
Yeah, I was going to say they are technically connected.
Yeah.
Not always super closely, but yeah.
Yeah,
there's a
I'm
timeline.
talking more about the games that, and Final Fantasy is its own thing.
Right.
Even though we'll circle back to that at the end. Remind me after you give one of yours. I want to mention something I learned watching a video in Final Fantasy VII Remake that you might be interested in or may already know. So, it got me thinking, like, is Resident Evil the best one of these game series that has been around, like 8 entries, have tied them all together? It would be my choice. I was just wondering if you had any that you could think of through your gaming career.
So mine's going to be kind of a stretch, but Pokemon. Pokemon. Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I want to hear your reasoning first.
I was just going to say, so in Pokemon, you're not the same character every time, but the world is the same, and all of the people in each game know about the other regions. So you could technically say that even though you're playing a different character, technically, in every game, they all are in the same universe, same timeline, and even like you're still in the same world. I don't know how to describe it. It's not a timeline thing because who knows when each timeline is supposed to be, but the whole world is the same. Like if you go back and play like what was the second one? Like Gold and Silver, you can go back and then play the original game from Gold and Silver. Like you can go to Kanto from Gold and Silver. So it's interesting because you can do that in a lot of the games. You can go to other regions and stuff. So I feel like that encompasses Pokemon. Now I have another one if that does not satisfy.
It's stretching it. Let me hear what the second one.
Metal Gear.
Yes.
So
that's the other.
Even though people don't like 5, I feel like Metal Gear is one of those series that really, like, if you are into lore, Metal Gear is where you want to go, and you got to start at the beginning, or else you'll be super lost.
And Metal Gear, the king of people who yell, "Don't put politics in my game," but also list Metal Gear as one of their top 5 games.
Yes. But yeah, Metal Gear definitely. That's that series. That's definitely one of these. Yeah. I feel like Resident Evil, Metal Gear, kind of in that same realm.
Yeah, it would be my second choice, and so I would like to talk about it a little bit longer. My favorite thing about it is that Kojima, as crazy as he is, found a way to integrate the 2 games on MSX in the 80s to the Metal Gear Solid series. Like they weren't meant to really be like, like you can play Solid without ever playing those games. But if you play those games and you play Metal Gear Solid, like just like Resident Evil, the story just flows into it.
Yep.
Like, there's references to Zanzibar and Gray Fox and, the big boss. And they even found a way to cover up for the weird, plot hole that is left by including the MSX games in it by, in 5 having you be, Venom Snake or Vengeance or whatever the name was, where you were a fake snake.
Right.
And that closed the loophole on, the reason why Big Boss is this and that in other games. And that's why it might be one of my favorite choices for this. Just because it gets to the heart of reasons why I love the movie series. I connect this because they made something and then made another group of them and then figured out a way to tie it all back in together, which I don't know if they ever had plans to do that. Knowing Kojima, he probably did. Knowing, the Fast and Furious people, probably not.
Okay, I'm going to go with no. I mean, they tried. They did try, because at the end of Tokyo Drift, if you have spoilers for Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, one Dom Toretto does show up at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So there's that.
It's like, oh, that's like a tip of the cap. Hey. But you don't know that that's the latest movie in the timeline.
Right. You have no idea that that's the end of the timeline. Nobody knows that. I don't think they knew that. Let's be honest.
That's what I'm saying. And Metal Gear feels very much like that. Like the Solid games got popular, and then Kojima was like, you know what? I'm gonna fully tie in those old games. I only made references as like sort of a cute reference for people that played those games, back in the day.
Yeah.
But no, I'm gonna make sure that like, there's so many references in 5 and stuff to the upcoming things that happen because that game happens before Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2.
Right.
I would love to. I've never played Snake's Revenge, which is the NES game that I don't think was made by Kojima.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Kojima does not like that game.
I was going to say I didn't notice if he made any like disparaging references in the game to it. Like, oh, that was a fever dream or, something like that.
Yeah.
Talking about those games. But yeah, I honestly think after watching Village and for those of you out there that have gone through it and all, I think you'll agree with me. I think the insanity and the way they do tie it together is just so much better than Metal Gear. I believe if Kojima would have had his time and budget for 5, he would have been able to do it because
didn't he also get removed like 3/4 of the way through the game? Yeah,
they have a whole quarter of the game that they didn't make, but there's like code for it in the game where you like go off and basically try and recapture, Liquid Snake.
Right.
Or whatever his name is in that game. But, you go, he like kidnaps a Metal Gear and you have to go track him down, and that whole, there's code for it and there's all that stuff in it. But, he didn't get to finish it. So it's just like in cutscenes and things like that in there. And I think he would have been able to tie it all together, all the Shadow Moses and all that stuff that comes later, would have been able to be tied in. But yeah, those are probably the top two in my opinion for that.
I'm going to throw you a curveball.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
There's
a billion games for it.
There are so many Kingdom Hearts games. I know we keep talking about it, but I need to pull it up right now because there are so many games in this series and they all connect.
Yeah.
No matter what. They're all connected somehow.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can pull up the timeline names.
Yeah, and I'll talk and just for those people out there, you could talk about Assassin's Creed in this, but I think there's like two separate sects of like there's the Desmond games and then there's whatever the new games are, and I think they're completely different even though there's kind of a through line, but it doesn't really work in this sense because if the Desmond stuff would have continued. Now, I haven't played through every one of the new ones, so maybe there is some kind of connection to Desmond.
Playing the newer ones, I have not seen. Like, I played Assassin's Creed Origins, and they didn't. I think they may have like mentioned him briefly, but that's about it.
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
But yeah,
there's 12 Kingdom Hearts games.
Oh, Jesus.
And they are all canon. There's not one game that's not canon, which is unreal to me.
Yeah.
Like, I think that the World Ends With You is also canon in Kingdom Hearts.
I wouldn't doubt it.
If you've seen the end of Kingdom Hearts 3, you may know that.
Yeah. So this brings up perfect point to go to the thing I want to mention. So I was watching someone's playing through Final Fantasy VII Remake, like him and his, friend. The friend doesn't play some of the games, and he does pre-recorded videos, and they talk over them.
Right.
Not live gameplay. And he pointed out something in Remake that will just spur the rumors that have been going around and maybe slightly confirm it, unless if they never do. But that the slight factor that they may be trying to connect 7 and 10.
Yeah, that's been a rumor for years.
Yeah, but I don't know if you noticed this in the game because he went in and zoomed up on things. But when you go through spoilers for Remake, when you go through the Shinra Tower and you're going through the history of Shinra,
and they have the museum, yeah.
In the museum, when they have the photos of the people that founded Shinra, you zoom in and it's the guy from X2 and there's a guy in the middle with that mask on.
Yeah. Yep, the guy who said his name was Shinra in X2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be real weird if they tried to connect those two, but it would be interesting. And
then that video in the planetarium, looks very much like Spira, and just the fact that I didn't know because I didn't play that much of X2. God, that game. Speaking of awful games, I didn't play far enough to say basically his dialogue. Even though it's probably just a reference back then, is pretty much word for word what they talk about with Shinra in Remake.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty damn close.
Yeah, I mean, now that they've done all this stuff with Remake already, with their changing all the stuff, it would not surprise me if they'd go, oh, hey, by the way, in this world, 10 exists at the same in this world.
Yeah, it was just thousands of years ago.
Right. It would not surprise me in the slightest that they do that.
Which would then let Final Fantasy start creeping in, because you could theoretically, with the way they make these connections here, you could theoretically connect most of the games post 6, outside of 9 maybe, Yeah,
9's a weird one.
You could put 8, even 12 could be another continent, at another time, on the same planet. Because there's been, there's such crossover with that. It was ridiculous when I saw that, and that partially led into, when I was thinking of this topic going, I think the best parts is when they when it seems like they're doing a reboot and then everything ties back together. That's one of my favorite things in long running series, is whether it's movies or video games. And with Mass Effect coming out, and the fact that they tried to legitimately do that, where everything carried over, and sort of failed spectacularly with 3.
Well, then they had Andromeda, which was another nightmare. So
somebody made. I finally understood this analogy someone made in storytelling in terms of what the problem was with Mass Effect 3, and the thing that a bunch of these games avoid is that a lot of times in storytelling, when you're, you sort of do the diamond shape. Like in the first game or first story, it's sort of like a little narrow and spreads out a little bit as you learn about the world. Then the second game is really wide open, like Mass Effect 2 was. And, you can play around with it because now everything's open. You've learned the world, you learned the politics, you've learned characters, you can go nuts with it. But then the problem is filtering it back in to end it. And that was a problem they fell into. The thing Resident Evil keeps doing is when it seems like they're folding it back in, it becomes like a second diamond. And it opens back up.
Yep.
And you went from, I'm trying not to spoil it. I'll tell you some of the stuff off air. But
okay. Yeah, we don't want to spoil anything for that game, since it just came out.
The way it's just spectacular. And I'm trying to think, like, even Mortal Kombat has a similar thing, but they only do it in games like pairs of 3. Like, they're just a bunch of trilogies.
Yeah. With Mortal Kombat, they reboot all the time.
Yeah, usually every 3 games. Like, I think 1 through 3 are basically canon together. I think 4 is different, and 5, 6, 7 are sort of together. That includes the DC versus Capcom, or Marvel, or Mortal Kombat MK versus DC or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That's part of that group. And then 9 through 11 is its own story, where essentially, spoilers, Mortal Kombat 11 came out about a year and a half ago. They basically reboot the timeline at the end of 11, so they can do it all over again with 12. But yeah, with Resident Evil getting to 8 and also having side games and a movie, which I don't know if Kingdom Hearts has gotten to a legitimate canon movie.
I think they did.
Like a 2-hour movie?
I don't know if it's 2 hours long, but I want to say that there was some sort of, I don't know if it was just cutscenes stuck together or what, but there was I think they made Recoded, maybe they turned it into a movie, but it was like an hour and a half of cutscenes.
Okay. Oh, well, cutscenes. I mean, literally, Resident Evil Disintegrate, I think it's called. It's something, it's like an anime Resident Evil that's canon. And
no, here it is. Okay, so there's Kingdom Hearts Cross back cover, an HD theater video that ties in the events from Kingdom Hearts Cross. So yeah, there is an HD movie.
And maybe those two are a lot closer than I think in terms of that stupid, insane stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many games. Like, going back to it, Kingdom Hearts has re-released the same games 3 times. They re-released one for the PS3, and then they re-released it for the PS4, and then they released it again for the PS4 in a new box set. Because they did 1.5 remix for the PS3, then they did the 1.5, 2.5 remix for the PS4, and then they did the story so far, which is everything thrown into one, like, oh no, they did it again, because there's a story so far, and then there's the all-in-one package, which has everything. All-in-one package has Kingdom Hearts story so far, then it has the prologue for 3, and then it has Kingdom Hearts 3. So, it's exhausting. And I don't know if you guys listened to the episode I did on Kingdom Hearts 1, but the reason I like Kingdom Hearts 1 so much is like what Mark was saying, it's the start of the diamond. Everything still makes sense. So the problem is, it's not a diamond. It's like, I don't know. It's like a bunch of curlicues, and they all just intersect in 6 different ways, and eventually get to the end at Kingdom Hearts 3. And that's not even the end. There's still going to be more. So, spoilers on Kingdom Hearts 3, which is like a 4-year-old game at this point. But
maybe it's just a really wide diamond, Tom.
It's like the widest diamond. It's not even a diamond at this point. The lines are just continually going out. They're just still going out.
It's a story rhombus.
Because I guarantee... So I don't know if you followed Kingdom Hearts 3 at all, but it essentially has the ending at the end. The ending is the same as a cutscene for Final Fantasy Versus 13 from 10 years ago or something. So it's a nightmare. I haven't watched any like here's the plot so far like videos yet, because I'm just not mentally prepared to go, because it's going to take 2 hours to get through the whole plot of what's happening. But they're fun. It's a fun game. So I don't know. It definitely continues to give you stuff to play and good stuff to play. And it's crazy, just like Resident Evil.
And I'm sure with this topic, there's plenty of games we missed. My criteria is I'm thinking it needs to be longer than a trilogy. Trilogies don't count.
Yeah, trilogies, yeah.
Yeah, because they are set trilogies. I'm talking like 4 to 8 games, 4 to 10 games that are all interconnected. I think those are just ridiculous and fun to have.
We didn't talk about Halo, but I'm going to let that slide because, people don't like Halo 5 or 4. So.
You can throw it into the category. It definitely counts. It can be in the discussion.
Yeah.
Whether it needs to be on the level of the ones we mentioned, that's an argument we can have with people that may be more gung-ho Halo.
Yeah. And I'm a Halo fan, and I'm still going to say, like, it probably doesn't belong in the same conversation as these games. If the
same studio would have done 4 or 5 and whatever Infinite's going to be, then we'd be talking. But the change in studios is what makes it a little different.
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree. All right. I think we've compiled a pretty good list of games here, and
give people a good idea. Send us tweets at Game Vault Pod, with the games you think you mentioned. Like I said, has to be bigger than a trilogy, has to be the same studio, doing all games, 4+ games in a series that are all interconnected.
Yeah. And interconnected games for sure. That's the main criteria. But yeah, I think that is a good stopping point. Like Mark said, if you have any that we missed, let us know, and we'd like to continue the conversation.
I'm going to mention one that I just thought of before we get yelled at. Uncharted.
Okay. Yeah.
Uncharted made 4. I let the criteria be 4 or more.
Well, they also had a PS Vita game.
Yeah.
And all kinds of other stuff. So yeah.
I have not beat 4 yet, so I don't know. Like, I know how the story wraps up, to be honest. I've been spoiled by it. But, that's probably why it didn't jump in the top of my head. Anyway, moving on.
Right. Well, yeah, that, like I said, if you have any more that we missed, let us know. We'd be happy to continue the conversation on Twitter at GameVaultPod. But it is time to move on to our Retro Roulette game for this week, and that was the Misadventures of Tron Bonne for the Sony Playstation. If you watched the stream where I played it, I mentioned that it is a spin-off game. It's actually a spin-off of Mega Man Legends, which was also a PS1 game, and a very polarizing game at that. Some people loved it. Some people did not love it because it was a 3D Mega Man adventure game, which was something very strange at the time. I think everybody was still trying to capitalize on Super Mario 64. So everybody knows what my impressions were because they saw me play it. I want to know, Mark, what you thought of this game.
So the thing I'll admit right away is once it started to get into a lot of menuing, it kind of lost me a bit. Just because I think the game itself, in terms of the characters and the story, as much as I like Mega Man 2, I'm not much into the Mega Man story, and all those characters from Legends. So I didn't have that buy-in to keep going, and I'm not much of a mech game fan. So there was so much, tying me up when menus started to get involved with all this. But I will say I did enjoy what I played. That character seemed as annoying as I remember from Mega Man Legends. When I played, I didn't play it. In one of those situations where, and we'll do a slight tangent after I mention this. Where I watched the Game Informer Super Replay play through the first one. The slight tangent I wanted to make was, I love how our brains work, that when you watch somebody play through a full game, your brain immediately clocks it as you played it. because you know everything that happened and you got all the emotional cues from funny and crazy to plot twists and all in your head. So for a second in my head, I thought I played that game, but I did not. Yeah, so I think I would have been, going back to something else I said, I think I would have been more into it if I was either more deeply invested in those Mega Man Legends games or was much more into the style of game this was.
Yeah.
It's not one of those that there's a reason why it's so like rare and unheard of, and as a game, because it seems like it's a niche game.
Very much.
Yeah. So yeah, I got probably a few hours in and just was like, you know what, game's not for me. The story's not grabbing me. I'm not going to go further. I think I've seen enough between what Tom and I did to give an opinion on it. My only thing is, if you have any interest in that time period of Mega Man lore, you will enjoy it and probably want to see the story through the completion. If you don't, it's only worth it if you get it in a totally legal way from your friend Vim on the internet. Because it's not worth purchasing unless if you 100% know, and that includes the way you got it, Tom, through the PS3 store. I'm not talking about being some ridiculous person that's paying hundreds of dollars for the disc.
All right, so I just looked this up. So I have seen this game go from anywhere from $250 game only to $900 full game with the demo included, Mega Man Legends demo 2. It's crazy. Like, I can't imagine paying like $100 for a game. For me is pushing it.
Yeah.
I have to love the game and I have to want to play it for a number of hours. I cannot imagine paying $900 for a game that's arguably not that great. I could argue it's good and bad, but I mean, it's not like I'm paying $900 for, I don't know, Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger is expensive, but it's not $900.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. The thing I equate this game to is maybe something in the sense of, like, if they did, I guess maybe we were talking about it earlier, maybe something in the sense of like the Luigi focused, spin-off of Mario game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's in the same universe sort of thing, but here's this other character that you might think is kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And it just, it's one of those games where I don't want to really put too much criticism in it because it was definitely not made for me. Or you, it sounds like, too.
I'll go into it.
I don't know if you played anymore after we were done and wanted to add anything else outside of what you said, but
so I dabbled a bit in it afterwards. Something interesting to me is every level is different. So the first level you do, it's kind of an adventure game. You're going around blowing stuff up with a mech, it's a mech game, and I kept joking to Jonathan that, hey, I know you were looking for a mech game. This is a mech game, and he totally agreed. After I got to a certain point in the game, because there's base building also, and then the second level I went into was a puzzle game, like a straight up you only have so many moves to get something out of a maze puzzle type game. And then the third level was an RPG, like a first person RPG going through a dungeon. So I really liked that it mixed up the gameplay like that, but there was no like story. Like, there's kind of a story. They're like, oh, we don't have any money, so you need to go around and do all these things to earn money. So it's cool that you got to do different things, but at the same time, you didn't like. There's no rhyme or reason to it. There was no like anything pushing you to continue playing. Like, the funny clips from Tron were funny. Like, they kind of keep you interested for a little while, but it's only going to last so long. But it was a cool game. The idea is cool because you even have like scouts that can go out and scout the area of the next mission that you want to do, and they can like make it easier for you going forward and stuff. But the weird thing to me was it was so built onto Mega Man Legends, they never mentioned Mega Man at all. It was just weird that they didn't like mention him in the slightest. But yeah, I could see why nobody bought it and why it's so sought after now. And at the same time, I would never ever purchase it for what it's going for. Like even disc only, $250, I'll never pay that much.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
If you're maybe it's different if you're a collector. I don't know. I like if this is your your holy grail and you need the full real copy or whatever. That I don't know. That's just not me. If I'm going to buy a game, I want to play it. I don't just buy games to have games.
Yeah,
so,
I can't do that either.
So it's not like if I purchase a game in a store, I plan on loading it up at some point and playing it. I don't just buy games to sit on a shelf and never be played because that's just weird to me. Like it's a video game. You're supposed to play the video game. And people may not like that, but hey, that's just the way I see it. Like collect baseball cards or something. I don't know.
Well, they stop you from doing Pokemon cards and sports cards now, so maybe they can't do that. That was a news story we should have put on.
I know that's. I didn't even think about it because it happened last week. But yeah, that's a discussion for another day. That Target and Walmart no longer carry Pokemon cards because somebody pulled a gun on someone.
If you ever want to hear some great stories, I don't know how we got off on this tangent, but go into Giant Bomb and tune into some of the. I think you might have to be subscribed, so maybe send them a subscription. Jan Ochoa over there talks about he was getting up at like 7 a.m. on Fridays or earlier to go buy Pokemon cards at Target, and he would like recap every Friday his trip to Target, and it literally became one of those things where they were making up characters for the other people there.
Like
there was one dude that came up in a beat up Scion, and they called him Scion Paul, and it's pretty funny. But I think he just does it on the subscriber only, the premium stream.
Yeah, I mean, while we're on this tangent,
Friday, but not as like I don't think it's like incentive to make people, but I think it's like because he does it Friday morning and they do that stream Friday evening.
Yeah. So
that's just when he would talk about it, but it was just the escalation of things that were happening, and then finally they just.
So you see, my problem is I got in on the Pokemon card thing like 5 years too early.
Yeah.
Because when I was still living at home, I lived right next to a Target, and my brother lived at home at the time as well. And we would just get bored, like, hey, you want to go to Target and buy Pokemon cards? Okay. And we'd go and spend $50 on Pokemon cards and just open them, which is exactly what people are doing now and Twitch streaming it for thousands of people. I just missed it by a few years.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, but anyway, and we digress. Back to Tron Bonne.
So, if you like mech games, if you like Mega Man Legends, this game is for you. If you don't like those things, this game is probably not for you. But yeah, let's give it a score and then we'll spin the wheel. Mark, what do you think on a score?
Yeah, so I'm going to give it a right in the middle, a 3 out of 5. It seemed like a competent game from what I played. Maybe it gets terrible later on, but and it's got its niche market. So, good solid 6 out of 10, 3 out of 5. Playable video game. The graphics look good for the era. If you love mech games and a lot of menuing, you're going to love this game. So be sure to, check it out if you have any interest in that. If not, go get it from Vim and see if you like it. I would not spend money on it if you don't know you'll like it immediately.
Yeah, so. I agree. I'm giving it a 3.5 out of 5, just because I really like the voice acting. I thought it was really good, really well done, and it kind of held me in for a little bit, even though there was no story. But yeah, totally agree with Mark. If you like those things we mentioned, this might be the game for you. If you don't, that's fine. Just find a way to play it. There's many places you can find the game, and don't pay $900 for it, please, dear God. So yeah, Tron Bonne, overall good game. Let us know what you think. If you've played it, let us know, and if you have never heard of the game, also let us know. I'm sure this is a very weird game that no one's ever heard of.
Yeah.
All right, let us spin the wheel. All right, Mark. Somehow I'm surprised this didn't happen a couple weeks ago, but we're playing GoldenEye 007 for the N64.
Ooh.
So GoldenEye was in the news a lot because the leak of the Xbox 360 version happened, and I'm usually when that kind of stuff happens, we end up playing that game magically, and I do not rig it, I promise. But
we've never been in the room when he does it, so we don't know.
I
So
don't
keep
rig
those
it.
conspiracy theories going.
I do not rig it. It somehow just happens every once in a while. But I'm happy we got an N64 game. It's been a while since we had one, and I'm glad it's not a racing game. We haven't had a shooter. This is our first shooter, I think.
Yeah, and it also gives me the opportunity to try out a different, totally legal way to play N64 games, rather than the seizure-inducing one I'm using now for Paper Mario.
Yeah, we'll have to get that figured out for you because there's definitely a better way than what you're using.
Yeah, if I can figure out a way to transfer the save, that's my only issue.
Yeah, we'll discuss. There may be a way to do it.
Yeah.
So we'll have to take a look.
But yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I haven't played this in a long time. Or should I say, I have not played the story single player missions in a long time, so it'll be fun to do that.
Yeah, everybody knows about the multiplayer, so
Slappers only,
golden gun, rockets, the good stuff.
No odd job.
No odd job. That's no. The person who picked odd job was an asshole.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it'll be interesting to go back and play the single player and actually try to beat the game because it's been a long time since I sat down and said, "Hey, I'm gonna beat GoldenEye." So I'm excited. I'm excited about it. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for us this evening. Mark, do you want to let everybody know about our family of podcasts?
Yeah, so we have Stranger Damies, our D&D podcast, airs every other Wednesday on all podcast services, and then we stream it every other Friday on twitch.tv/GameVaultPod. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at Stranger Damies. If you go to the Twitter account, please send over some questions. I'm trying to do a fan Q&A. Just anything DM related, Dungeons and Dragons related, our games specifically. I'd love to talk about our story. I torture a coworker with it every so often. So I would love to talk to actual fans of our stuff. So be sure to send questions over there. And then we have They Call This a Movie. It's our movie podcast. It airs every Thursday. You can find it on Instagram and Twitter at The Main Damie. We are on every podcast service, including Spreaker. Be sure to give us 5 stars, rate, review, do all that good stuff for that podcast. Helps us out a lot. Yeah, themaindamie.com is where we have everything. It's a one-stop shop. That's where all of our podcasts live. Any writing we do, any stuff like that will all live there, and you can just go between the shows, as you're sitting at work. Hopefully, maybe we can do some embedding on there at some point. I don't know exactly how the WordPress site works for getting maybe the stream video embedded on like the front page or something. I don't know. I'm not an IT expert.
We'll work on it.
I'm just trying to figure out a way, since the Twitch stream is used for 2 of the things that are on there, getting that involved. But speaking of streaming, we stream 5 nights a week. Wednesday is Apex After Dark, where basically it's multiplayer first-person shooter or shooter Wednesday. We might switch up the games. Now it's Apex until we get that dub. And then Thursday is Paper Mario. I'm playing through the N64, the original Paper Mario. So be sure to check that out. I think we've gotten 2 stars, so we're about 2/7 through the game. And then on Friday is when Stranger Damies, every other week, and then we record this podcast on the off weeks. Saturday, Jen sometimes streams there, plays Monster Hunter Rise, and do things like that. So be sure to keep an eye on Twitter to see if that is going live. Saturday's sort of a free day. And then Sunday is Dan of the Wild. That's where Dan is playing through Breath of the Wild. He basically just roams around and chats with everyone, so it's a nice, fun, chill stream. I joined him on the Discord last time, and it was fun. So be sure to check that out. He also tries to go before me on Thursday or a couple other days in the week. So again, the Twitter's the best thing at Game Vault Pod for that. And on Monday is Tom streams. He does the Retro Roulette game, which was GoldenEye this week. And the Suikoden is one we're playing now. Do you just want to call it your Retro Game Monday or something?
Yeah,
I don't know if you have a name for it.
I don't really have a name for it, but
yeah.
It'll depend on the game I'm playing. But it'll mostly be Retro Game Mondays for sure.
Yeah. So be sure to check us all out there. And Tom, I don't know if there's anything else we have to plug. I think that's it. It's been a long night.
It has been a long night. Real quick before we get out of here, I want to let everybody know that we are an affiliate of Stone Age Gamer. If you have any need for retro controllers or cables or power supplies or flash carts or anything like that, you can head to Stone Age Gamer via the link in the description of the podcast. And anytime you use that link and purchase something, it gives us a little kickback anytime you use it, and allows us to make these shows better for you guys. So any little bit helps, and it'd be truly appreciated. Hopefully you guys tune in this evening when you're listening to this to watch me play GoldenEye 007, and hopefully Jen, makes it out alive. That's all I gotta say.
And just one spicy nude too much. She's up there with the top ramen god. That's
right. All right. So thank you everybody for joining us. Please stay safe. Be nice to each other. And for Mark, I'm Tom, and we will catch you guys in the next one.